lights burn bright. Mercy moving through the night. Love breaks loose and the walls all sing. Jesus Christ, our risen King. Lift it up, let it run. Dance like heaven has begun. Hands up high, voices raised. Flood this room with holy praise. Victory sound in the house when the room comes alive. Jesus in the center and the praise goes high. Feet strike rhythm, hearts ignite. Joy runs free in the flashing light. Push it up, let it rise. Lift his name across the skies. Clap on beats, hearts renewed. All this praise belongs to you. Bass roll strong and the crowd responds. Mercy moving, pulling us on. Voices soar and the whole place sings. Jesus, you are King of Kings. Push it up, let it rise. Lift his name across the skies. Clap on beats, hearts renew. All this praise belongs to you. Jesus, you are King of Kings. Push it up, let it rise. Lift his name across the skies. Clap on beat, hearts renewed. All this praise belongs to you. Glory filling every corner when the room turns gold. Jesus in the center, more than we can hold. Feet strike sparks, and the joy runs free. Praise starts moving through you and me. Feel this place, let it rise. Lift his name above the skies. Clap on beat, move as one. Feel the work that he has done. Bass run low, and the light shine wide. Mercy moving side to side. Voices lift, and the whole place sings. Jesus, you are King of Kings. Feel this place, let it rise. Lift his name above the skies. Clap on beat, move as one. Feel the work that he has done. Joy rising with the kick drum when the room wakes wide. Jesus in the center and
Hello, 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 Crypto and Assets family. Super excited to be back here today on this Saturday afternoon. Appreciate everybody joining this call. As you know, every Saturday, myself and Gil run Crypto and Assets, which runs from midday Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK, sorry, and 10 a.m. PST over on the West Coast. So just put in the chat, where in the world are you guys watching this call from? Are you in Europe? Are you in Cali? Are you on the East Coast? Are you in Texas? It would be good to hear and see where some of you guys are located. As you know, the structure for Crypto and Assets, the first half of the call or so is about mainly the fundamentals, mainly about the macroeconomics of where we are in the market, and how it affects things like crypto, equities, and various asset classes like commodities. And then the second half of the call, my boy Gil comes in and takes over and dives mainly into the technicals and the charts, and looking for entry positions on leverage trades, but also looking to build your portfolio as well. So I'm very excited to be on this call. We're going to get right into it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get things alive and kicking. So hopefully you guys can see that. Crypto and assets, very happy to be here. And we start the calls with what's going on. So what's been going on in the past week in crypto? I'd like to give you the update on that. So one of the updates is Goldman Sachs, which is one of the largest investment banks in the world. They actually started a BTC ETF. That's when I say ETF. And so what's interesting is it's an options-based fund. So ETFs are exchange traded funds, as you know, right? They're a basket of goods within one stock that you can invest in and see a diversified investment because you're in multiple assets in one stock, but also lower risk because of that, and a lower potential ROI, but it's something a little bit more stable, should we say, and less risky. And there was a good article about this, because this isn't your standard ETF. So as we know, many banks have started their own ETF, or they are using an intermediary to allow their clients to invest in that ETF. And I just want to show you this article here because this is the interesting thing. It says Goldman Sachs filed for a Bitcoin premium ETF April the 14th, an options-based fund designed to generate regular income for investors rather than track Bitcoin's price. So to keep things succinct, instead of having an ETF, which is tracking Bitcoin's price, meaning as Bitcoin appreciates, your funds directly appreciate with that. What they're doing is they're saying, hey, like we're going to have something options based. And so as you can see here, 80% of the fund is Bitcoin exposed investments. What they want to do is they want to basically give you a premium, so give you something of a consistent income in a sense, whilst having exposure in the ETF. So we're going to read a little bit here because I think it's really important that we all understand here. So this is what it states. It states that to generate yield, the fund is selling options contract tied to those BTFs. Think of it like owning a house and renting it out. You own the house, but you're collecting rent in exchange for giving someone else the right to buy it at a set price. So it's kind of like Goldman Sachs owns a house, they're renting it out, right? And so they're collecting the rent for allowing somebody else, a third party, to say, hey, like we're going to give you the right to buy it at this price. And that's basically how options work. So this was an interesting strategy. And it dives in a little bit into like the difference of, a spot Bitcoin ETF, and then spot Bitcoin and things of that nature. But this was the key paragraph here that I wanted you guys to kind of understand. These are the three main differences to Goldman Sachs's income ETF compared to a standard ETF. And so with this, the upside is capped. What does that mean? That means that if Bitcoin was to rise significantly, let's say 40% in a month, what happens is that your assets don't go up 40%. They go up a much lesser percent because the fund is only getting a little bit of that move, like a small percent of that appreciation. And here's the second difference. Income replaces appreciation. And this is what I kind of mentioned earlier. So let's say this. Let's say that Bitcoin swings upwards 20%, right? That's very possible. Let's just say 20% in a week, for example. What happens is that you as an investor, you get a regular premium payment. Think of it similar to insurance. Think of it for finances like options. You get a premium price for that 20% swing that happened in that week. And so you're not necessarily outperforming the market. You're not outperforming Bitcoin, but it's something that's a little bit more risk adverse. So your risk is protected, but also your upside is capped as well. So it kind of sits you in the middle there, but you have the confidence to say, okay, if Bitcoin goes up, I'm going to get a small regular payment rather than facing the downside of like, if Bitcoin drops, I can lose everything, or if Bitcoin goes up crazy, I can gain everything. And this is what it says here. You carry some downside risk, some. So that premium that you're going to be getting, it's not going to cushion and protect you for all of Bitcoin's downside movements, but it's going to protect you for some of it. So in conclusion, how do I view this income ETF? This sort of different style of ETF, you can say premium ETF. I view it as something that doesn't have massive upside and it doesn't have massive downside, sort of in that middle ground. So if you're a more conservative investor, if you're like, hey, Jean-Luc, I know that going through an investment bank, to be in an ETF or to invest in a fund that they have isn't necessarily the best idea or the safest, or it doesn't give me ownership. I get that. But Jean-Luc, I've got like, I don't know, like 5, 10K. Like I want to be in that ETF. I want to have some form of traditional exposure. Jean-Luc, I've already got my Coinbase. I've already got my ledger. I've already got things set up. Like I just want to put this capital in a safe place, a more lower ROI, but something that can just spread my portfolio. This could be an option for you. So if that's somebody on this call, this is something I want you guys to be aware of. Because if we just look at this, right, if I just search on Google, how many investment banks have a Bitcoin ETF? You're going to see this number growing, bro. Morgan Stanley, Fidelity, BlackRock, there's a bunch of them out there. And so what you want to do is you want to decipher, and just so you know, like it's now a market of $123 billion. So if we talk about how things changed from 2 years ago, from 3, 4 years ago in the market, well, institutional money, that's what's changed. And so the market cap right now of crypto being $2.6 trillion, well, from that 2.6 trillion, we have 123 billion from ETFs. And so if I do some like basic maths, I'm pretty sure that's like 10% of the market. Yeah, that's about 10% of the market is from ETF money. 2, 3, 4 years ago, that was not the case. That percent would have been like 1 to 2%, if not zero. We didn't have institutions creating their own funds, giving high net worth clients crypto exposure. So the key part to understand is that yes, there's more adoption in this market from the large banks, 100%. There's more money flowing in the markets. And so therefore, those same volatile movements in Bitcoin that we saw many years ago, there's not as many of that. There just isn't. I was having a conversation with a friend and he was mentioning like, hey, Jean-Luc, I don't understand this market. How is there a war in Iran going on? How is there the things in Dubai? How is there Trump tariff situation? How is there all of these massive economic events going on? And Bitcoin is effectively consolidating. That doesn't make sense. We've got the S&P that hit $5,000 all-time high. Well, normally there's an inverse relationship, right? Because remember, there's risk on and risk off assets. Risk on is when people want to go into safer investments such as bonds, such as commodities. And guess what? When there's adverse times like we're in right now, macroeconomically, people normally put their funds in risk on assets because it's safer. It's proven over 10, 20, 30-year track record to do so and to stable grow in a certain manner. But right now we have risk off assets actually doing okay. Like things such as Bitcoin consolidating or slightly rising on a smaller time frame. Why is that? Why are we creating higher highs in times of economic turmoil? And it's right. She's right. It doesn't really make sense. But that inverse relationship between equities and crypto, in my opinion, you can say it's kind of decoupling a little bit. I don't think equities going up means crypto going down. Crypto going up means equities going down. We're kind of seeing either similar movement or less of that correlation. And I guess on the charts, you can kind of see that on my machine. I've got my charts up here, but you kind of see what I'm talking about. And in fact, maybe I can share my screen and show you guys, because a lot of people do say, hey, like, what's the relationship like between the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow Jones, and Bitcoin? What's the relationship between gold and Bitcoin? And I say Bitcoin because Bitcoin is basically the gold of crypto, right? It's the reserve currency in a sense. And so if Bitcoin moves 5%, yeah, all these other mid caps are going to move 10, 15, 20%. That's the way it works. They follow so far the movement and the price action of Bitcoin. Now, let me just get something up here. Let's have a look. I want to show you guys something. Let's get up S&P. So look, let's get this on a weekly. So guys, this is the weekly chart for Bitcoin and the weekly chart for the S&P 500. Let's go to, let's make this a little bit more wider so you guys can see. 2024, 2024. Yeah, so like we can kind of see here, as the S&P is rising, effectively so is Bitcoin. Like it's basically having a similar, and you can see like September, November here, sorry, it's the same thing as November on the Bitcoin chart. As the S&P is rising, so is Bitcoin. And it wasn't always that way. And if we go to the DXY, let me show you guys something. What's the relationship here between the dollar and Bitcoin? Well, it's very similar movement. It's almost mirroring what Bitcoin's doing here. If we see this period from basically all of 2024, it's almost the same as the dollar. As you can see, this appreciation here, that's exactly what happened with Bitcoin as well. And so right now we're in like this consolidation phase, I guess you can say. This period was slightly different, slightly, like not massively. But if you look at this phase here, which was most of 2025, we were appreciating in the price of Bitcoin, but on the DXY, we weren't appreciating, we were consolidating. So you can kind of see how sometimes there's that relationship, positive correlation, that's what we call it, right? If one asset's going up and the other asset's going up, there's a positive correlation. Negative correlation if one asset's going up and the other asset's going down. But then here you can kind of see there's that relationship isn't there because we're consolidating on the DXY, but Bitcoin's appreciating. And there's many fundamental reasons why in 2025 that would have happened. But yeah, the point being, guys, is like the relationship is becoming more of the same. We didn't have that back in the day. So that's just something I wanted to mention. I'm going to stop. I'm going to actually share my other screen now and dive into the other two parts of news that I wanted to speak about. And so three more things to mention is poly-market trader scrutiny. So this is kind of a rabbit hole, but we know poly-market prediction markets have been a huge deal. You know, a lot of people are gambling now on the outcome of sporting events, but also using crypto to do so, getting rewarded in crypto to do so. And so there was a trader who made $320,000 in the last minute of the 2025 Biden pardons. Now, I don't know about you, but put a 10 in the chat if you think that's a little bit fishy. Like the final minute of Joe Biden's last minute pardons, there's just somebody with perfect timing who somehow, some way seemed to know the outcome or have full confidence that the outcome was going to be something before those pardons. That's very strange, and that's not a coincidence. And this is bigger than just this one isolated incident. What I'm trying to say here is that there are people with insider information and insider knowledge, which gives them an edge in the market. We're not those people. And we're likely not to be those people. And there's a very fine, thin, ethical, moral line here, even like a legal line, in terms of if they're allowed to do so or should they do so based upon information that they get from inside the government or agencies of that nature. Either way, perfect example is Nancy Pelosi. There is a Nancy Pelosi tracker online, and you can see the investments that she has and when she buys and when she sells. And it's so interesting because how is it that some of the people in government are the best traders in the world? They're the best investors in the world. You have to ask yourself the question, well, why? Well, their friends are in the C-suites of these publicly traded companies. Their friends are aware when a merger and acquisition is going to happen. Their friends are aware when a company is going to liquidate or go bankrupt. Their friends are aware that this political thing is going to happen on this date. So how hard is it if you're in those circles to be like, hey, cousin, hey, brother, hey, mum, this is going on. Like, you know, I'm going to invest in this or I'm going to take a bet on Polymarket on this. And yeah, there's almost 100% certainty that it's going to happen. I think you should do it too. Like these families are all interconnected. And so we have to remember that when we're in the market, okay, we are going against the grain. The probabilities are against us. However, though, I do want to share something with you because just think about it this way. Your network is your net worth. What happens when you then have relationships or connections or do business with people who have access to information that's more private? You know, obviously in a legal manner, not in an illegal manner. But what happens at that stage? You know, we're young now. We're just starting out in this world of trading and investing. But I'm pretty sure Powerhouse, we're going to have some powerful, influential people in the future and grow as a community where we may be rubbing shoulders with these types of individuals. So it's just something to keep in mind. But I just found it very interesting about this incident. We see it all the time, guys. I don't have to name the events, but you can just think about like global economic catastrophes or whatever you want to call it. And like traders have just managed to make an absolute killing based upon the prediction of that event or taking a sell or a buy position with absolute pristine timing. So yeah, very interesting stuff. The third thing here is UK crypto regulation. And so in the UK, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's one of the most strictest regulatory places in the world for crypto. It really is. And I don't know why they're so against it, to be honest, but they are. Maybe even more, honestly, more than the US. I remember back in 2023, when I was in college, and I tried to put money into Kraken from NatWest. NatWest is a popular British bank. You've got like NatWest, Barclays, Santander, blah, blah, blah. These commercial banks. And so NatWest called me up when I tried to make a deposit into Kraken, a crypto exchange, to buy stuff. They said, hey, we're not allowing crypto payments to be made from your bank account. And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, we don't allow that. Like straight up, not even like there's a way to get around it or like we can help you. No, like it's against our rules and regulations. You cannot make that transaction. And I thought to myself, I was like, wow, so much for free will, independence from freedom, right? Because I can't even deposit money into my own crypto account because, the US government or the commercial banks in England are like against it, or they say it's risky, by the way. That's what they told me on the phone. They said, yeah, this is a high risk, sketchy investment. That's literally what they said. And so now regulation seems to be becoming a thing in October 2027. That's when there's going to be rules and regulatory procedures on crypto, such as stablecoins, trading platforms, safeguarding, staking, all of the functions above. This is so positive because I know how hard it is as a UK citizen to trade crypto, buy crypto, and all of the above. And this is what's interesting. It's, right now, we have a more like entity-based system. Like it's based on the setting up of entities to do with crypto, that there's some level of understanding of what you can and can't do. But what we don't have is an activity-based system. So the actual specific leverage trades themselves and how to treat crypto, like what can and can't we do. So it's good that there's going to be some confirmation on that in 2027. And I thought that was really positive news. So let's move on to the last thing, AI and KYC security. So we spoke about something similar at trade night in Dallas actually last week. And so many of you may use AI. Put a 10 in the chat if you guys use AI. Do you use Claude? Put a 10 in the chat if you use Grok, if you use ChatGPT, if you use Claude, Grok, ChatGPT. What else do we have? We have a few of them out there, a few AI protocols. And so this was interesting because it's kind of secret. So Claude, what they've done, well, Anthropic to be specific, is that they now require a government ID and selfie verification in order to use Claude. And I was like, hold on a minute, like this is contributing negatively to the AI self-custody personalization argument. And if you now have to submit a passport and a selfie to prove that you're a human supposedly and to keep things safer, how independent and how private is your data? Because AI is amazing. It's helping operations become more efficient and faster and saving people money. But yeah, if I have to dox myself to even search up something on ChatGPT, then I don't know. I don't know if I like the sound of that. And so, yeah, this is with Claude, but this is probably going to spread, guys. What happens is one major company does something and a bunch of the other companies follow. And I see it a million times in every single market. The moment a market leader makes a compliance or a KYC change, do you know what the other market leaders do? They say, they're doing this KYC procedure. I wonder why. Hey, Claude, why you guys want to do this? Oh, because if we can get people's personal data to sign up to Claude and make it sound like it's for their own safety, right? It's for their safety. This is for the power of the people. Then, well, that data can be sold, right? We can sell that data to other people, and it gives us more information about the individual as well. And then Grok and ChatGPT are like, you know what? Good idea. We're going to do the same. Let's all do it. Because if all of the market leaders do it, you've now got an industry where 80 to 90% of the market leaders are requiring some form of KYC to even use the AI services. And at that point, now it's normalized. You see what I mean? Like now it's the norm. So yeah, I just found it interesting, guys. This is something which is about trend, and you want to pay attention to the trend because weeks or months from now, that trend is going to follow, and you want to be ahead of the game to understand when that started and why this is happening. So that's one of the reasons why this is happening right now with Claude. So keep that in mind. It's always for the safety of the people, that's what they say. It's to keep you safe. We need your identity just in case anything goes wrong. Then we can actually access you quicker and easier. AKA, yeah, if you guys mess up, what we have, our information on you, we'll give it to the government. Or if we need money, yeah, we'll sell your data. You won't know about it, but that's really what's going on behind the scenes. So, Wise Man once told me, JP Morgan have this phrase, this saying, guys, there's the good reason for doing something and there's the real reason for doing something. So whenever you see a headline, this is just about life, to be honest, a headline on anything on wars, on the economy, you name it, guys, just know that headline is usually the good reason. It's the public reason. But then the real reason is always behind closed doors, and it's up to you to kind of find out. I remember there was a story of a friend. This isn't to do with the markets, but I just want to say this story. And the story of the friend, this is real and true, by the way. They were in Eastern Europe at the time. This was 2-3 decades ago. And there was a war going on in Eastern Europe. And so it was a US family, and they resided in the US. And so the son, who's a fully grown adult, the son was in Eastern Europe at the time on a business trip. And the mother was in America. And the mother was watching the news. And the news had footage of bombs going off, real bombs, in the same city that her son was residing in for the business trip. So she's literally watching CBS, like she's literally watching whatever the American news channel is, or Fox or something, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like those bombs are in the same city that my son's on a business trip." She called her son and she said, like almost in tears, like, "Hey, like, are you okay? Like, there's this coffee shop. It's called X, and it's in the city that you're in, and like, it looks terrible. There's like war going on." And the son, this is a true story, by the way. The son is actually on the street of the coffee shop that these bombs were going off. And the son is on the phone to the mum, like, "Hey, like, what's the coffee shop that this is happening? Like, everything seems fine where I am at." She said, "It's called X." And he was like, "I'm stood outside X." "I'm fine. Mum, like, do you know what's happening here?" And she was like, "Yes, I can see it on the news. It's awful." He was like, "No, they're rehearsing." They're doing a rehearsals right now. Like, there's cameras and there's lights and there's fake bombs. Like, I'm looking at it in the shop, and they're blowing it up, and like they're putting it on the news. Everything in the city's safe and fine. Like, but I'm just watching this act play, like right now, with lights and cameras. It's not real. And she was like, "Oh, really? Like, oh, no way. Like, I'm seeing." He was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm safe. This is fake news. This isn't real." And she was just like, "Wow, like what? Like, just think about that story. It is a real story. It's not fake. Like, this is the stuff that happens sometimes. Narrative. You know, we see something is the good reason. The real reason's always behind closed doors." So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't to do with the markets, but I just want to give you that because if you think about the markets, like that stuff happens all the damn time with news and fundamental events. So that's what I want to keep you guys like aware of. I don't want you guys to be like numb or dumb traders. Like, I want you to understand why things are in play and that news is the excuse to move the markets to where it inevitably needs to go, right? And that's when you can talk about imbalances, mitigation, technicals, and why things are moving, when they're moving. Much deeper conversation. But anyway, that was my little rabbit hole. I just went off on a little one there. But hope you learned something. Hope you got something. I know that Gil's going to give massive game and value about the markets. I was going to talk about mid caps. I'm not going to lie. I had a whole thing set up for mid caps, but maybe another week. But Gil, my brother, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, bro. Appreciate you for always coming on here with some major value all the time. And I love it because it gives you guys a good idea where things are really at right now when it comes to the world, when it comes to the markets, how it comes together. And that's honestly, guys, just for the you guys being on here, that's one of my favorite things about what we do here in crypto and assets is that it's not just like a normal crypto call. It's not just a normal stocks conversation. It's really about what's going on and how it can affect the markets and actually having the understanding. Because, like John-Luc was saying, everything that happens isn't news is an excuse. And there's just some things that I'm going to be going through myself. So there's a couple things I'm going to be going through for the next 20-ish minutes, 25 minutes to end today's session. And I'm going to start kind of just going straight at it. I'm going to start a little bit more with stocks. And then I'm gonna get into crypto as well, and looking more of what's been going on. So adding on to what John Luke's been saying, like what's been going on. I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot going on in the world, and I want to share with some of you guys on that. So first thing, okay. Now for the ones that are here on YouTube live, go ahead and put a 5 in the chat if you know what Netflix is, right? Most likely everybody knows what Netflix is. There's literally basically the number one streaming platform right now, which is wild. And there's some things that I want to kind of go through. First thing is this. Recently, okay, Reed Hastings is going to step down as Netflix chair. He was the co-founder of Netflix. In June, he is going to be stepping down. Now, the reason why I bring this up because I've been talking about Netflix for a while, and I'm gonna keep talking about it because as an investor, you always have like your bets, right? Like you always have like those companies or those investments that you're like, I'm actually putting my like not reputation on it, but like my vision in it. Like I really think this is the play with a lot of different things. Now, this is something that was very interesting because as you guys know, I've been talking about Netflix for a while. And Netflix was something that I was talking about when it was here, right? I was talking about Netflix in this area. I was looking for a lower area on Netflix, actually. I actually missed it, like myself, by like $1 or two, because I was looking for it right here. And it literally came right here and I didn't enter. And then it just took off. Like in literally like 1 week, it took off and never came back. Now, I saw this happen on the weekend or yesterday, to end this week, and I was like, what happened? I was like, what the heck? Like Netflix just, went down literally, and it would think this was all in a day, like 12 to 13%. And I was reading into it, and it was because of this. Now I'm like, interesting. Another thing that happened, because they talked about this in their earnings, I believe. Another thing that happened was their earnings. And then I looked at their earnings and I was like, okay, what happened? It might have been negative. And actually, okay, and I'm gonna break this down a little bit. I've been learning a little bit myself, like I'm newer to stocks, like a good 12 months into learning stocks, and I've learned a lot. But something called EPS. EPS, in very simple terms, I even Googled it for you guys, is really just a higher, when you have a higher EPS, it just indicates a better profitability compared to competitors. So it basically just shows the strength of that company compared to other companies according to their numbers. And this last quarter, which it just finished, right? Q1 of 2026 just finished. The estimated was 0.676, sorry, and it actually came out to be 1.23, which if you look at the past, fam, look at this. Just look at the number, right? It's been the highest it's ever been. Now that's interesting because think about it. One negative and one positive. We have the co-founder of Netflix stepping down from the board of directors, right, in June. And then, but at the same time, they've had the best quarter of their career, of since the start of it. And I'm like, interesting, right? Like there's a negative billboard, like, oh, he's stepping down. Netflix is doomed. This game over. But their numbers are super positive. Now, I want to ask you guys, okay? I'm going to ask for numbers in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you think people pay more attention to this, or put a 2 in the chat if the average person pays more attention to this. The average person, not the investor that knows how to do things. So put a 1 in the chat if you think most people would look at this and put their bias on this, or put a 2 in the chat here on YouTube if you think people base their bias on the actual numbers. So put a 1 in the chat if you think is just off of things like this. Put a 2 in the chat if you think is just the numbers. All right. Now, as you guys are responding, I'm going to be honest. Most people are looking at this. The reason why Netflix saw a decrease of like 10% is not because of the numbers, because the numbers are amazing. It's because of this. So this actually gives me a lot of excitement because I've been waiting for another opportunity on Netflix. And I believe really anything under $100, guys, is a steal. And I'm gonna kind of dive into this a little bit longer because I want to give you guys a perspective on how I look at things and what I'm looking at. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but the world of TV, the world of live sports is changing, right? It's not the same. I don't know if you guys have been seeing it. Sometimes it's so subtle that we don't see it happen. We just like it happens, right? But I've been watching it. And one thing that's been happening is that streaming platforms are now having live sports, are now having live TV. There's shows that are coming out and they're getting like premiered on a certain day and time, right? The world of TV and entertainment is officially changing already. And one of the biggest things is obviously sports. So I've been looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, Netflix last year was the first time I saw it. We had the Christmas Day was on Netflix. We've seen big fights, boxing matches on Netflix on live television. It's not recorded anymore. It's live streaming, right? And it's crazy because it's basically just live streaming. Live streaming is now the new live TV, which is wild, right? But I've been seeing this and look at this. Netflix. They partnered in 2025 for a 10-year deal with the WWE. WWE is one of the biggest wrestling, entertainment in history, is the number one. And they just partnered with Netflix for 10 years. Okay. Now, it says that the NFL games on Christmas Day of this year will be streamed. They were last year as well, but they're going to be streamed again this year. So the NFL, this year they had the MOB. This is baseball partnership. They had the opening match ceremony and a couple of bigger things are going to be on Netflix. Boxing, of course, we already seen that. Tennis and golf. And actually, this is not too big because soccer, I know, is not that big. It's not that big in the US yet, but it's growing. But they just partnered with CONCACAF, which is basically the you can say the league of like the USA, Mexico, like this side of the world, Canada, right? It's like the region that the national team plays. They're going to be streaming the Gold Cup, which is a very big tournament for the internationals when it comes to like North America and this side of the world. And also the Nation League's finals, which is basically like the Champions League, but for like, this side of that. And when it comes to international soccer, so like the countries, right? Now, this is all going to be starting streaming in 2026. So one thing I'm seeing right now is that Netflix, in my opinion, is in the forefront of it. Is literally in the forefront of this, and their numbers, guys, their financials are so bullish, so bullish. And right now, like I said, we saw a rejection, and I was waiting for something to happen. Anything was going to happen like that. Because I just personally believe when I see numbers that are so positive, but then see something not be so high, that is a really good indication. So I personally, fam, just saying, if you're looking to build your stock portfolio, this is, and I'm going to say this confidently because sometimes you have to be confident. If you're right or wrong, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, this is my number one play for stocks of 2026. This is my number one play, right? Because of so many factors are just adding and adding and adding and adding up to it. And I really think Netflix is about to have one of the biggest runs maybe that we've seen. I could be wrong, right? I could be 100% wrong. But I personally think just because of the financials, just because of things are going on, they're really taking over. Now, another stock I want to go through real quick before I go through some more news is actually Paramount, which Paramount is another streaming platform. Again, this is stock still. Another streaming platform that they won the bidding for Warner Brothers. It hasn't happened yet because there still have to be approved. Like, guys, when it comes to stocks, it's like a long process. It's like so much regulation and X, Y, and Z, right? But Paramount is officially won the bidding because Netflix pulled out. Basically, I was doing some research, and Netflix basically said, hey, we don't need Warner Brothers. Like, we got it on our own, which low-key they kind of do, right? But Paramount, I think, is one of the best opportunities when it comes to risk to reward. So Netflix, when it comes to like stability and like security, because it's like higher, right? Like the thing is there's not that much risk. But Paramount, I think it's kind of like a sleeping giant. It's kind of like something that's either gonna go crazy or it's not, or it's gonna die. Like it's pretty black and white. So it's something that I wouldn't put like most of your portfolio in, but I would have some exposure. Now, these are the two that in my opinion, would have exposure. When you look at stocks, when you look at anything, and honestly, I'll talk with John Luke, but I think next week, maybe we can talk about like the different industries that exist and the categories and how to do that, because I think that's a good topic to have. But, streaming platforms now, I think deserves its own category. In my opinion, it's like television. It's now television. Television, before it wasn't much. Yeah, you can invest in certain things. Obviously, there's things like Disney and stuff like that. But I think streaming platforms now are like the forefront of entertainment, and I believe it's its own sector. So if you want to have it in your portfolio as a sector, I would have these two. I would have Netflix and I would have Paramount, because these two are gonna, in my opinion, are making the most step forwards to taking it over. If you guys didn't know, there's gonna be a UFC fight, and shout out to Mike Sotero, he's been talking about this, at the White House, and it's going to be streamed on Paramount. Okay. Now, I want to let y'all know that everything is publicity, but I also believe in buy the rumors, sell the news. I also believe that when there's a big event happening that should be very positive for something, like as an investment, it actually could be like a top of the market. Okay. So this is going to be happening on June 14th. So what is it? Yeah, 2 months, basically a little bit under 2 months from now. Now, can we see Paramount make a move for the next 2 months and then maybe see a shot down during the event and then continue higher if it wants to go higher. Now, I don't know about y'all, but Paramount has done some crazy things. Like this was something that Paramount did. I don't know if it's gonna do that. I don't think so personally, but like this is kind of crazy. This went up, what is that? 900% in a year. That's kind of wild. Right? Now, do I think this is gonna happen again? No, this is during COVID, so I just don't think it'll do like that. But can we see at least a push up here? Right? Can we see something to the $40, $50? I believe so. So this is a really good play, guys. I wanted to talk about these two, Netflix and Paramount today. I think they both have good opportunities. Now going back into the whole stock market as a whole, and then before we go into crypto, right now the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and actually not US 30, but SPX and Nasdaq have created the highest it's ever been. It literally just created a higher high. And it's very interesting to me because right now, I don't know if you guys heard, but the whole Iran thing is going on, right? And they opened the I can't even pronounce it, but the strat of this, right, with like a lot of shipment for oil can go in and out. It was closed, then they opened it, and then guess what happened? I don't even think it was 24 hours later, and they closed it again. So it's crazy because this push was actually created because this was opened again. So like the port for ships to go to get oil to Iran, one of the biggest providers in that side of the world. It's like a whole nother spiel that I kind of did some research on, that this side of the world where we're at actually has a lot of oil, and that side they get it from like there. So like it's kind of interesting what's going on. I also want to let y'all know this. Obviously, there's war going on. Obviously, things are happening, but I'm just letting y'all know, unfortunately, this is a money play. Okay, like it's a money play. It's all for the money. It's all for markets. I'm just letting y'all know. I'm not saying things aren't happening or anything like that. I hope like people are like are getting affected. I pray that they it will get on the right side of this. But when it comes to the reality of things are happening for money reasons. So right now, I just see a lot of manipulation in the market. It's literally crazy. We have all the educators from our platform here in Powerhouse University that literally have said it. They've been trading for 14, 15, 16 years, and they've literally said they've never seen so much manipulation in their lifetime as a trader or investor, which is crazy. That speaks volumes. If you've been trading for over a decade and you're saying you've never seen this type of volatility, that means obviously there's a lot of volatility, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing right now because this happened in literally like 2 weeks or like a week, really. This started happening, yeah, at the end, yeah, 2 weeks. You can say 2 weeks, and we have seen this push up, which is interesting because most of the time when things like war are going on, stocks are not doing good. Right? So it's kind of the opposite effect with a lot of different things. But I'm interested because we saw bullishness because the thing opened, right? But what can happen on Monday? When this headline, guys, hits on Monday, I don't know. Could we see a really big hit and then maybe go higher? I don't know. But one thing I've learned is this: don't buy the top of a market, right? So that's why when you're looking at certain things, you always want to look at, okay, well, if the NAS 100 is pumping, which is the top 100 companies, what else is pumping, right? Or what else has an opportunity, meaning Netflix has been down. Something like, PayPal have seen a jump. Would I say you should buy this? I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's great because it's still super low. But, if you miss the bottom here, can we wait for a pullback? I personally believe the stock market is about to wake up. I think even crypto might start waking up because I think they kind of have to. I'm not going to lie, just for political reasons. So can we see this and then this start to take off? I think so. So now going into crypto. So starting with BTC, because that's everything that we start with, we have seen that the market has been starting to wake up. Okay, I've been talking about this for a while. I wanted to see this market to go above here, right? Now, there's a lot of factors that are going on right now. I'll give you guys my opinion, and you guys can take it however you want to take it. But I personally believe that this is, I don't know, I really do like how it's doing. like how it's doing this, I do like it. But one thing I don't like is that it's leaving a lot of liquidity here. Okay. And every single time you can see here, like this is not leaving any liquidity. Like the market came here, rejected, 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 and then boom, went up. This is what you call an accumulation. This market isn't doing an accumulation yet. It's like the beginning phases. So this is kind of what more I want to see. Now, am I going to wait for this? No, I'm not. I kind of have my own POV that I'm going to start getting in little by little, just because you always want to have exposure, but not overexpose yourself. That's why I believe in something called DCAing. Mostly at times like this, when crypto and stocks are like just here, it's never a bad idea to DCA, daily cost average in. So getting in slowly when it's starting to wake up on you. Now, I also keep in mind, you don't want to buy something when it's green or when it's blue, when it's going up, right? You want to buy it when it's retracing or, something like that. So going into BTC, I want to see what can happen here, right? Is the market going to sustain this? But again, there's a lot of liquidity. And what does liquidity mean? Liquidity means a lot of money because people been buying, been buying, been buying, been buying. And I'm saying buying as a trader, not as an investor, as a trader. But when you place a buy, you also have a stop loss. You have a stop loss. You have a stop loss. You have a stop loss, right? And a lot of the time, the market likes to take these before it continues. So the reason why I don't know, I could see this sticking. That's why I'm going to have some exposure. But if we don't see it stick, I think it's because it's been here for too long. That's it. It likes to take out quick and then go quick. That's just how the market goes. So I don't know. Could we see some big news thing happening? Maybe, maybe not. Now, what does that mean for altcoins? So when it comes to alternative tokens in crypto, it's like the Chainlink, the Solana, the Aave, the Ethereum, like what could we see with these different cryptos, right? I don't know why ETH is not here anymore. Does it make any sense? But anyways, we're gonna start with ETH. Let's do Coinbase. Let me move this. I don't know why this is not here anymore. But anyways, cool. So Ethereum is like the second biggest one, right? That's why I like to kind of go there. When Ethereum wakes up, everything will wake up. Okay, just letting you know that now. Right now, I'm actually gonna delete this. We're here now looking at this. It's very similar to Bitcoin right now. So again, it broke above, but I don't know. I like for it to stick above. So if this can stay, maybe do something like this, I would like it. But same thing, guys, same thing. I just don't like the fact that there's a lot of liquidity here. I don't know. I just have, I don't know. I could be wrong, right? But I don't know. I just don't like this. Could we see lower? Yeah, but again, I'm going to start to expose myself, meaning having opportunities and entries here because you want to have that type of exposure when the market is going up. So going into this week, can we see Ethereum go into this box? Can we see Ethereum go right here? Stay here and then go. This will be a good sign and everything else will follow. And the cool thing about it is that the other tokens, they're still in the same area. Like Chainlink fam hasn't changed. It's still in this. So I believe anything here or lower is still a great opportunity. I don't care if you get here or lower. It doesn't matter. Honestly, like things like this, I think there's still great opportunity. But I am going to say this as well. When they go, they're going to go. Like they're just going to go. Okay. So I recommend to now start looking at a portfolio saying, okay, how much money can I put on the side and what am I going to start getting into? Because even something like Solana, can we see Solana? I kind of like it a little bit lower. And the crazy thing is, look at this. Look at this difference. Ethereum has broke above, right? Chainlink hasn't broke above. Solana hasn't broke above. Aave has not broken above. Ondo has not broken above, right? Something like Caspa has not broken above. Pife, other tokens like Litecoin has not broke above. So it's lagging, right? They're lagging indicators. And one thing that you can see here, these are another couple charts that I want to show you guys, is number one, the total market cap. This is all of crypto. All of crypto is going to look like Bitcoin. It broke above right here. So it created a higher high. Total number two. This is all of crypto except BTC. As you can see, it hasn't really broken above. Like it barely did. So it really created equal highs. Okay. Then you have total three, which is everything without Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you can see that it hasn't broke above. And then you have others. Others is interesting. It's everything outside of the top 10. So this is kind of like, yeah, like outside the top 10. So there can still be main cap tokens, but they're like not the biggest ones, mostly right now. It did break above, which is actually very interesting. So can we see the lower ones start to wake up? Maybe, because everything lags. So everything starts somewhere and then trickles. So can we see total market cap, right? Already broke all-time highs. Others already did as well. So can others follow total one and then total two and then total three? I don't know, right? But one thing that I do like to see is that the total market cap has broken above, but the others haven't. Meaning the other ones still have room to go. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But right now, I do like the altcoins. Right now, I do like where they're at. I am going to start looking at potential entries. Like I think really any of the altcoins that we've talked about, any of the altcoins that you've been hearing from Maxitero or on our platform or plays giving out as inner ideas, I think they're in great areas right now. In my opinion, if they go lower, that's fine. But I think they're in great opportunities. So with saying that, fam, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys learned something today. I know I went through a lot of different things, but I wanted to give you guys a good understanding of kind of what I'm looking at. This is me like giving you what I'm looking at, my point of view, the plays that I'm looking to starting to accumulate into. I actually been in the silence for a while, just waiting, just seeing, not rushing it in. But I think right now things are starting to I don't know, things are starting to change. And I have a theory that in the summer, it's either going to be really bad in the markets or it's going to be very bullish. I don't think it'll be like this. And if it is, I might be wrong, but it's either going to be super bullish in the summer or it's going to be very bearish. And it's going to be like, oh my God, the world is ending. And then nothing is really ending. It's just like a pullback for opportunity. So regardless, I see it as a win-win. So the best thing that you can do is create a DCA plan, stay patient, slowly get into the markets and stay plugged in with the education. Stay plugged in with the value. Right now, it's the best time to be educated. If you're not part of Powerhouse and you're watching this, go into the description. We're going to post this and check out that next step for you because I'm letting y'all know if you don't have access to what we have access to in Powerhouse, you're going to be missing out one of the biggest opportunities in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So it's up to you to take action or not. But with saying that, I'm super excited for what we have coming. I'll see you guys next Saturday. And like we always say, the best is always and always yet to come. All right, familia, I'll see you guys. Peace.